Navigating the Heart. Who is Dragging You? By Ock Soo Park. Chapter 2. Desires. Have you learned self-control from a young age? Even now, you need to learn to break your desires and humble your heart. More than anything else, it is more important for children to learn to break their hearts from an early age. Even if the parents are great teachers, famous politicians, or great businessmen, if they do not know the world of the heart, they just want to be unconditionally good and give their children everything. As they give in to everything that their children want, they want to rear their children to be great people. Rare are the parents who teach them to control their hearts and to refrain from their desires. If there are young people who have not yet learned how to control their desires and how to discipline their hearts, although it may be late, even now they must learn how to discipline their hearts. It is easier to do it now than it would be when you become older. If you try to break children's hearts at a young age, rather than doing it while they are young, you will find that your children will rebel. And when they feel that the relationship isn't going to work out, they end up running away from home. When they are about 5 or 6 years old, they are unable to run away from home, so they are forced to break their hearts. But as they get older, instead of breaking their hearts, they look for ways to get around it. Many people who are serving their sentences in prisons today are people who could not break their desires well. They simply had to do whatever it was they wanted to do, and they did not hesitate. Ultimately, they entered into a life of crime. In this world, there is no one who can do whatever he or she wants. Be it a government minister or a president, we cannot simply do whatever we want. In the newspapers, we often see people who could not control their desires. And even though they may be in high positions, they fall mercilessly in a single moment. However, people who have broken themselves from an early age, even though they have grown older when they want to do something negative, they are able to think, "This is something I should not do. I need to refrain from doing this." They say this and they draw a clear line in their hearts. However, there are people who are completely unable to do this. When they want to do something and the conditions do not allow them to do it, that person has no power to refrain from trying to satisfy their desires. They simply end up becoming criminals. No matter who it is, if a person becomes high-hearted, that person later becomes pitiful. Because people don't know about the world of the heart, when they become well off circumstantially, they become high-hearted. And when they get good results from doing something well, they also exalt their own hearts. Just like I mentioned in the previous chapter, the younger son thought himself to be so great and did not listen to anyone else's advice. He simply did whatever he wanted to and lived according to his own desires. Such a person can only suffer through difficulty and pain and will only run into misery. We must learn how not to exalt our hearts, but to humble our hearts instead. We must learn how to control our desires. Then we can become truly happy.